Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication, as well as how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. In this video, we're talking about helping children deal with grief and loss. In this video, we're going to be talking about grief and loss and how they affect children, and some key things that you can do to help children better navigate these difficult times in their lives. Loss is hard. I mean, if you think about it with a child, when they lose a toy, it's hard. When they lose their pet, their puppy, when they lose a quarter that someone gave them or that they earned, that's difficult for them. It's unsettling. It feels like something has been taken away from them. They worry, they have stress and anxiety over just these little things. But what about when there is bigger loss, right? The pet actually dies instead of just gets lost and then is found, or maybe a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, someone close to them that they care about, a good friend, happens to pass away. It is difficult. And when I say children here, I'm talking all ages too, because it's never not hard, right? To lose someone that's close to you. It's a very healthy, normal thing to experience sadness and grief when you experience a loss. What many people don't know about me is that for years, at the beginning of my parenting years and before, I actually was a counselor, a grief counselor at a funeral home. And I would work with people when they experienced loss. This is a very difficult time for people. And I'm grateful that I had that opportunity. With all the work that I've done in parenting over the years, I really benefited by meeting with these people who were going through some of their most difficult circumstances ever. Seeing their courage, their bravery, compassion, and power as they would navigate through these difficult times. And what I learned as I worked with them about what they truly needed during this time. So grateful for that, because then when I took in treatment children and had my own children, suddenly I had more empathy, more understanding and compassion for all of the things that children deal with. Life is difficult when you're a child. I mean, it's always difficult. No one ever said it would be easy, right? Only that it would be worth it. But children especially feel vulnerable. They worry. Their stresses and anxiety levels are higher anyway. But now when they're experiencing a loss, not maybe thinking I'm never going to see this person again, that can be very difficult. There are many videos that I have on this channel related to helping children accept no answers. We're going to be talking about that today, but be sure to look at some of those things. And honestly, just to get more information on self-government and helping your children navigate through difficult things that happen in life, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel, because there are new videos that come out every single day on this channel to help parents help their children be resilient and be anti-fragile as they go through life. So let's talk about how to talk to your child about the circumstance that happened and how to help them so that they can navigate through this time of loss and grief. Probably one of the most important things that you can do is make sure that they truly feel understood. That if they're sad, if they're depressed and down, if they just don't seem to have that same engagement in other relationships and in other aspects of life, they don't get excited as much about food or about activities, be okay. Okay, be okay. It can take a couple of weeks for a person to get past initial grieving stages. And then after that, they struggle too, because they might start to feel like they're getting a little bit more into regular life, and then they feel guilty if they have a regular life after that. And they don't need to. So one thing that we need to let them know is, hey, we're here for you. We understand this is difficult for you. And guess what else? It's normal. They need to know that what they are going through has been gone through by countless numbers of people throughout all the history of time. They need to know that grieving is part of living, that losing someone is part of the journey of life. Two of the most important things, the two most documented things that ever happen to a person are their birth and their death. And death is actually equally as important, maybe even, if not more so, than their birth and their life. That's why we feel it deeply. There's an attachment. So at birth comes a connection, and then more connections, more connections, more connections. And at death comes a disconnection. And it's so hard to experience this disconnection. But you may want to vocalize it, say, it's hard to feel disconnected. Like you can't just talk to him anymore. That's normal. Everybody struggles when they're disconnected. When we're disconnected with a friend and a friend doesn't want to talk to us anymore, or we don't see them because they move, that can feel hard. But we know that they're still there, that we could find them at some point. But it's super hard for us to experience a disconnection not knowing when we'll see the other person again, because now they're on the other side. Now, I'm a faithful person, and when I worked at the funeral home that I worked at, they actually gave me full permission to talk about spiritual matters with children and with people that would come and meet with me. And so I was grateful for that, because it actually helps to bring the spiritual into the conversation when you're discussing life and death. Now, not everybody has that. That can make coping with loss even more difficult, because they don't know what has happened or when and if they will see the other person again. What I would do with children is I would get a glove, and I would have the glove and I would hold it, and then I would show my hand, and I would say my hand represents a part of you, a part of a person called the spirit of a person. It's what really makes us become alive. And this glove represents the body. So I'm going to put the glove on the spirit, and you see now the body can move, okay? Because my spirit is with the body, making it alive. But when I die, it's like the spirit has come out of the body and has gone now off to another place. The spirit has gone to heaven, has gone to be with other spirits. And this body is left here. It can't move because it doesn't have the spirit with it anymore. But the neat thing is that the spirit lives on. The spirit is still there. It's with other people, and it can even come and watch over us. Just that simple understanding with a glove and a hand, spirit and body, was so healing for so many children, for them to recognize this person isn't necessarily gone. They still love me. They're still going to watch over me. And one day, I'm going to see them again too, after my time of death happens. Number one, let them know this is normal. Everyone goes through this, and they will make it through it. Number two, you're there for them. You're going to be patient with them during this time. Number three, this is an important part of life. Death makes life important. It helps us recognize why we need to really think clearly about what we want to do in our lives. It shows us how important our lives are. And it's not the end. That's another thing that we can talk about with our children. Now let's talk a little bit about behaviors, because I know that sometimes there can be some extreme behaviors that come with grief. Sometimes people will become unconsolable and uncontrollable. That's not okay. It's understandable, but it's not okay. Sometimes a person goes down a deep hole emotionally, and they need help getting out. So while we're going to be patient with our children as they grieve and go through this time of loss, and as we talk about the loss a little bit more each day and that type of thing, we are not going to tolerate them mistreating other people, being unkind, bullying, going completely out of control, hurting themselves, not eating, those types of things. We cannot. We have to keep them safe. We have to teach them that they can go through this like everyone else, and they can be normal as they go through it, even though it's hard, which means we might need to do corrections. And teaching them certain skills are going to be vital. Remember earlier when I mentioned the skill accepting a no answer? That's one of the 4 basic skills of self-government. And that skill is incredibly powerful for a person who is going through a time of loss and grief. I have a lot of different books about self-government, some of them for children, some of them for adults. I've written 11 books. This is just 5 of them, but probably some of the most popular ones. This book here, Parenting a House United, will help you with doing calm corrections and with teaching the 4 basic skills to your children. So these children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills to children, which are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. This green book right here teaches accepting no answers and criticism. It's the same skill set. When a person dies, that is a no answer. We didn't want them to die. It's hard for us, but we need to be able to accept no answer. This book teaches children how to accept no answers in all things. It doesn't specifically talk about death, but it does talk about many of the no answers of life, as well as when someone actually tells you no. There are 4 steps to accepting a no answer. The 4 steps to accepting a no answer are to look at the person, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and by the way, that's another skill set, and then to drop the subject. When a person can learn those 4 basic skills, they can accept any no answer. This doesn't mean the time of loss is going to be easier on them emotionally necessarily, okay? It is an emotional thing to feel lost, but if you understand the skill accepting a no answer, then you can also tell yourself when it's time, I need to be calm. I need to just say okay to this because there's nothing I can do about it. And then I need to drop the subject. I need to move on. So let's talk about moving on. There will come a time where they move back into regular life, and then they can experience a feeling of guilt because they're having a regular life and they're not grieving anymore. Let them know that it's healthy to move on with life and to find key times to remember the person that we're grieving the loss of, so that we do not experience this perpetual depression just so that we remind ourselves we love the person. Let the children know they can love them and still move on with their lives as well. Experiencing loss is difficult. I'm sure that most of the people watching this video have experienced loss as well. It can be hard. But good proactive skills and good connection and a tone of understanding and good communication in the home can really help. There is another video that goes into more detail about the skills and principles of self-government that I think you'll find very useful as a next video to watch. It's actually a full-length class called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. So click on the link to that video now and you'll find more information about accepting a no answer, as well as many other skills that you will need to help your child navigate through this time of grief.